What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm not sure when you're going to see this, but I'm recording it on New Year's Eve, and it's been one heck of a year, 2020, man. Learned a lot, gone through a lot, but I'm going to reflect not only on this year, but past decade. A lot's been going on, but let's talk about it. So yeah, I think 2020 took a step back and really punched everybody in the gut, and it's just one of those things where it's unprecedented. We didn't plan for it. We're still not really sure how to process it all, but we're here, and it's January 1st is literally 6 hours away. Don't know what to say, but I think blessed to be here. A lot of people, are no longer here with us, and not to really make this video a sad one, but most definitely a lot of people were unfortunate to contract that and have to fight that. Some individuals did fight it off, and blessings going to everybody, even those that have have gone on. But I'm gonna start actually not on this year, because this year is gonna take just too much time, but reviewing back 2011, right? Yeah, that's the first year in a decade. For me, highs and lows, I'm going to just pick one and one and maybe add a little detail. Just things that I would say I'm grateful for. Obviously, just being here today to talk to you guys about, what's been going on and transitions. But 2011, man, 2011 for me, and I went through Instagrams, Facebooks, photo albums just to get memories, because 10 years ago, right? Just living through another decade, and I'm in my early 30s, if you guys didn't know, but just being blessed to see that. But I needed a little help remembering what went on. But 2011, my graduation ceremony, went to UIC, graduated in the College of Engineering, mechanical engineer, and that was a high of mine, most definitely. I would say I graduated December 2010. That was like my last semester, but the following spring ceremony is just when I walked across the stage, and that was a highlight of my year that year. Low light, working at Target. I would say not Target itself, but the interactions I had in the beginning of that year. It was actually a huge storm in the Midwest. I actually didn't have a car then either, so I had to wake up super early, travel to work, deal with who I had to deal with, and it just let me know, right out of college, hey, they gave me the position. I guess interviewed well, did all that, but getting out in that corporate retail world, yeah, the responsibility of being an assistant manager at a store of a certain department, and then trying to work with your peers. Perception is reality was one of those big phrases, I would say, that I didn't understand then, but I definitely understand now. Going through that situation, shape and mold me over these last 10 years, but it's enough of 2011. 2012, 2012. I think that was the year I really spent a lot of time on my motorcycle, a whole lot of time. As I mentioned, I didn't have a car. My transmission had gone out, and I didn't buy another one, but I did have my bike. So that Buell XB12R, shout out to that company. They're no longer in existence, actually. Still, I don't know. I still want to get into that industry right now. I kind of work with the automotive industry a little bit in my role at my company, but that was a passion that I had, and I still kind of have a little bit inside of me. But definitely a highlight, freedom, being on my motorcycle that year, doing track days, being with my motorcycle club and friends, family, just the freedom that I had after getting back, I guess, on my feet after Target, had a engineering position, and it just felt good not having that stress. But definitely a highlight. I would say low light. I don't even know actually if anybody knew that I was a biker or I did track. Anyway, now you guys know. Low light of 2012, I would say, is actually thinking about the profession of an engineer. I think I had basically been a couple years in for my first engineering position, which was in quality engineering, and really looking to understand the different roles in that company, at least at the time. I thought that I needed to get another, degree to move up. I needed to know more, have more pieces of paper with my name on it, get certified in different things. And to a certain respect, that is true. But I think I grew to understand the word engineer and what I wanted to do in life. Were starting to part ways a little bit, and I didn't want to just be pigeonholed in anything. And I'm not saying an engineer will be, but in my particular sense, just felt that it was a time to shift and learn a little bit more about business. So we'll leave 2012 like that. 2013, I'm gonna say it's kind of weird, but the highlight and the low light of that year was a breakup between my now wife. Shout out to you, baby. But we were just boyfriend girlfriend. We were just dating. That was the longest breakup we had. I think that year, close to a year separation. And I just want to call that time tough love, right? Like, care for each other, loved each other, but there were some differences, not only in ourselves, we had some differences and some influence that we had from family and friends, just things in our world that I think we needed to figure out. And that particular year was a highlight because I don't think, had we stayed together and ignored some of the things that were poking at us, we wouldn't have had the time to think about it the way we did. But a low light, as I mentioned, is kind of double-edged sword in this particular year, was the breakup. Me being single again, I guess getting to understand myself a little bit better and not really having the patience that I think I needed to have to really open up to anybody. But I think, truth be told, I just wasn't trying to open up to anybody in that area, just trying to continue to live and do, right by myself and my family. And it was just too much being on dating scene, man. I don't know how you players do it. I definitely couldn't do it. Yeah, but that's neither here or there. Been married 4 years now, thank you, Lord. And that was 2013. 2014, paintball year. Like, almost every other weekend going to play paintball. Was heavy off into the sport. Started a team actually to play in tournaments. I didn't play, but some of my teammates went on to play in tournaments. So I was heavy off into that. I would say, yeah, just getting to see the different side of me being in that environment was it was just good to know. Like, obviously it's paintball. It's not like in a war, but being in a position where you're under pressure, having to think on the fly, very active, obviously running it either on turf in certain settings or out in the woods in certain settings, being a little physically fit, learning about the equipment, which is very interesting. You can get to see a different side of people when they're, looking down the barrel of a paintball marker. And yeah, it was fun. I'll just say it that. Low light of that year will probably be, I'm just gonna call it the skeletons in the closet. There's some things that came out that needed to come out, and at the end of the day, everybody has things that they're probably not proud of and things like that. And I won't go in detail because some of it is very private, but I think that year I realized a lot of things about myself and family, especially. And yeah, it was 2014. Now, 2015, I don't like spending a lot of time on looking for negative things, but I couldn't really find anything negative in 2015. Highlight in 2015, I moved out my parents' house, my mom's house, and out to the suburbs. A blessing actually being able to get this apartment you see right here. is working with a company out in the suburbs. One of the staff members there was a real estate agent. They helped us look around. We were able to find this place, and it's been a blessing. But yeah, getting that independence, my first apartment, moved in with my girlfriend the next year, which I guess we'll get into 2016 now. Uh, Asked her to marry me, so we got engaged. She said yes. And 2016 officially, highlight of 2016 was, I guess, I'll call it D Will Fit, because that was my email for fitness stuff. And basically, I got very serious about my health because I didn't want to have photos of my wedding of me being fat and out of shape. So I just wanted to look nice and took that very seriously. Had a lot of energy and zeal behind that. Got a lot of people fired up to do the same thing. Started to actually coach and sell Herbalife products, and learned a lot about that, which I would say later down the years, nothing's wrong with them as a company, but relationships we'll talk about later. But my health and wellness, that was the highlight of that year. Low light of that year, which was still a highlight, but a low light, was wedding planning. Man, my wife did mostly all of it herself, but I would say, and she knows this, she did it on her own because she wanted it a certain way, which every wife out here, every fiance that's going to become a wife, it might be the same way. You have your choice, your way of doing it, but sometimes, a little bit of help can go a long way. And I'll tell anybody, I loved my wedding day, and I still do, but it went like that. And all the headaches, all the experiences. I literally had the flu and went to go to my cake tasting. The flu. And my wife was like, no, we still going. The flu. So, that year was that year. Moving on to 2017, it's actually the wedding ceremony year. We got legally married 2016. A year later on the same day, our ceremony, that was the highlight of that year. The most beautiful day that I've ever had with my wife. She was so, man. I cried. She came down that aisle. I'm thinking about it right now, and it's kind of like a little bit in the chest. But man, she was so beautiful. Now, if anybody knows my wife, I'm not gonna put her on blast. She has this resting face, and what I'm. She had it on our wedding, but I even that didn't pierce my brain. I was just looking at her. She was so beautiful that day. But that was the highlight of that year. Of course, traveling with her for our honeymoon as well, experiencing Europe and stuff with her. Low light of that year, I lost my grandmother. One of my grandmothers, I should say, my closest grandmother. And yeah, that, I think, without even going too deep into it, man, it was heartbreaking. A lot of things transpired that year. My mother was her caretaker, and yeah, my mother became ill. Some health things, and having to actually take off work. And this will get into 2018 because my grandmother passed Christmas Day 2017. But I had a leave of absence from work, and I would say work being a good. I was in a good space. This was my third engineering position in a company that was, I think, more business marketing driven. In my prior positions, I didn't have that, so it was a breath of fresh air in a certain sense, getting to learn how the strategy behind marketing a product, strategy behind customer communications, things like that. Being more responsible for that in my position opened my eyes to a lot of things, and my experiences and quality in manufacturing help solidify certain communication with suppliers, customers. But work was a highlight. But a low light, going back to grandmother passing, was just relationships that year, man, were tough. A lot of people that I would call friends, I just can't call them friends now. We might be associates, but relationships were strained with family as well. Herbalife thing kind of got a little bit sour because I got to see the real, I would say, situation, and some things that maybe I had blinders on beforehand I would ignore, but you got to see it. So low lights 2017, just relationships. 2018 relationships. Moving along 2019, started to basically pick up a little bit on I guess fitness and I guess independence, and started my own business for my wife and I, an LLC. She's Yoga, He's Fit. Really just grounded in her doing yoga and me being just a active individual. So that was the name of the company, and that's groomed me into learning some of the things that I've taken from engineering and different like positions, and how to apply that to my own business. And it's just been great, like just an experience. Company will be 2 years, or it's actually 2 years old now, or 1 year old now. I don't know. It'll be 2 full years, I guess, next year. But basically, the company is still growing. I'm still learning a lot. We are still learning a lot, not only for the company but for ourselves. But low light that year was work, and I guess that's natural, right? You want to start your own business, and the other business might feel like competition of time, resources, whatever. But for me, it was just being in a position of really understanding, particularly when my mother was sick and having to deal with some situations, and then coming back and just work was just not a good space. But a little bit of personal development, a little bit of perseverance, got to get my mind right, and really focus and close out that year. Brings us to 2020, and I moved along pretty quickly. And I'll try to tie in like little photos, if you might have seen them already in this video. This it's gonna be as raw as it's gonna be, but I'm just gonna bring up some references to the whole thing. But 2020, man, All-Star Weekend in Chicago, first time ever for me, being able to witness it. It was here prior, but I was so little I didn't know nothing about it. But being downtown with the festivities, buying all these shoes, like fun. And we heard about the little COVID bug. I guess I'll talk about the negative first. We heard about the little COVID bug, but right around February, heading into March, bam, everything shuts off. Lockdown, travel is canceled, restaurants are closed, couldn't even get a haircut. It was just bad, and no one knew how bad it was going to be. And we're still, I think, going uphill right now with this thing, trying to get our head over the mountain and come back down to some type of normalcy. But at the end of the day, this whole year has been like a whirlwind of craziness. Not only with our leadership for this particular country, but just dealing with this virus globally has been crazy. But on the plus side, it allowed me to really sit in the house and think about myself, my family a lot, and just my health, and taking care of some financial debt, and having some very hard conversation with my wife about finances happen. So that's the plus side. Just like, I guess, being in this position and seeing how things happen in the world, you get to really see, like, you got to do something for yourself, because nobody's really coming to save you. Like, I don't know the truth of none of this, but if the leader of the free world knew about this thing and chose not to act on it, and then obviously lots of people pass, and then we have this social unrest with police brutality and all these things, and it's kind of just shunned away and fingers are being pointed. Nobody's coming to save nobody, and we're all out here together, but on our own island, so to speak. And it's sad, but it really, this year really allowed myself to see some things that I would just be blind to, and I'm thankful for it at the end of the day. But I don't want this video to go too long. I just want to encourage you guys, if I put it out, and I'm trying to put it out before New Year's hit, But if I put it out and you do have some time to reflect on this year, if that's all the time you have, but I ask anybody to just understand some of the things you've gone through, to understand really who you are and maybe some of the things that have molded you in your mindset or maybe physical, self, what's been going on. Like, if you can't recollect those things, it might be a good time to do that. Not to hold on to it, but just to say, have I learned from it? Has it changed me? Am I doing things now that are influenced by those things in the past? And then move forward into the new year with a fresh mentality. Not, of course, every second is adjacent to one another. So we'll roll out of this year, roll into the next because time's gonna keep going. But I would say start the new year fresh. Not only with your mind, with your accomplishments, with the struggles you've gone through, in your heart, so you can head it up the right way. But I appreciate you guys checking out this video. More to come, and be blessed.